I had a very rural life out there, and my father had a nursery and greenhouses, and those greenhouses were my cathedral, and I felt more at home and spent more time in the greenhouses than I did in the house that he had literally built. Then during the Depression, in the 30s, I was born in 23, so I was old enough to know all of these things, like when the bank crashed, closed, and so on. I remember that very well. So there was no market for plants, so my father switched to growing agricultural crops and animals. He specialized in ruminants, in deer, antelope, sheep, and goats, and so on. And we had a very self-sufficient life and lived very well during the Depression because we grew our own crops and prepared our own canning and freezing. Freezing had just was coming in, and so on. It was, it was an idyllic life for preparation to be a landscape architect. Strangely enough, an aunt of mine, shortly after school would be out, she would take, I had 2 brothers and 3 sisters, and she would take us to Cherokee Park and Big Rock, the Big Rock in Cherokee Park. So I have very wonderful memories of catching, feeling under the rocks to get the fish that were nesting there and so on. And so here we were from the wild country, and we really had woods around us that were scary for a young person, and we had caves, and but to go to a civilized park like that was a really big deal, you know. And years later, I have a photograph of myself and 6 or 7 of my children on that same rock. Yeah. The other seminal landscape that undoubtedly influenced me was the bluegrass country, with the grass and the big white oak trees and the fences and the tobacco barns and things like that. So I had a very rich reminiscences of Floyd's Fork, the creeks, the Beargrass Creek, and trying to find out where it began, you know. And then my father, he did many river estates up along the River Road on the Ohio River. I would go out with his crew of men, and I would pick up the string and do all the things that little kids can do around a landscape installation and all.